For many years now, the JoJo community has been awaiting to see this scene animated. Now, I'm not as old of a fan as many that is a part of the JoJo community, but I could see why there was some hype to see this animated, because it's one of the most iconic scenes of Part 5 because it's just so far out there. It's so bizarre. Yes, I went there. And you're just like, really, Araki? Like, really? Of all the things you've done, all the crazy things you've done throughout Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, and now Part 5, you have a scene to where Leone literally pees in a teapot in the middle of a restaurant just for Giorno can drink it. Like, that's on a whole other level. That's on a whole other level that you really haven't seen from JoJo. JoJo's already crazy. It's bizarre, and it really just gets you thinking. But just, like, that scene, it honestly, like I said, it's iconic. I mean, if I'm correct, I could be wrong here, but I believe the voice actor of, Leone actually was someone that mentioned this scene when, he was announced to be the voice actor. I believe the voice actor was actually talking about how, he can't wait to do this scene, animate this scene, or, talk in this scene or whatever, and he apparently talked about it or whatever. I could be wrong there, but that's what I heard. But regardless, though, it's just a very funny scene to see, and I know that's gonna get everybody just like, what? Like, everybody's just gonna be like, what the hell? It's so bizarre. But okay, so let's talk about how fantastic of a job David Productions is doing with this episode of JoJo. Now, you know how I've already talked about how David Productions, they have actually added in anime original scenes to improve upon the original source, because even though Araki is a great mangaka, he's a good writer, JoJo is easily one of the best series out there, even Araki makes mistakes. Nobody is perfect. No writer is perfect. Araki sometimes forgets. Sometimes he makes changes and, he doesn't use certain things. And sometimes things are not properly explained to the readers or audience of the anime. And in this case, David Productions went out of their way in this episode to really expand upon some things, especially with this new group of characters that was introduced to us in this episode. See, if you're watching this episode, if you just watch it in your anime only, you most likely notice some comparisons to Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. You remember in Stardust Crusaders what made it so fantastic? It wasn't just the fact that we were going after Dio. It wasn't just the fact that it was Old Man Joseph and Jotaro and all that working together. It was the fact that there was a large party, these group of characters working together, journeying throughout Egypt to be able to find Dio. It was just so, I don't know, it was really fun. It was a really fun experience, and that's honestly the reason why I really enjoyed Part 3 so much, and why I think many enjoyed Part 3, and why it's just such an iconic part of JoJo. And in this case, I believe that many that love Stardust Crusaders are going to start seeing the similarities in this episode, because we are now introduced to a new cast of characters that, were all introduced to us, and they are going to be traveling with Bruno and Giorno for they can become gangstars, and they can eventually topple the boss, and then, basically change this place to where people can actually be safe. Children won't be a part of this business, and that's the similarity there. You notice that we're already introduced to a group of people that, technically are going to be with us from start to finish. And that's what's cool about this. Now, let me explain why I was praising the anime original scenes. The reason why I was praising that is because there was a lot of scenes throughout this episode that actually give characterization and more introduction to these characters that the manga actually did not do. Like the entire stuff with Bruno and the call and all that, when he was talking on the phone, that wasn't really there. And he did talk to the old women, but the call wasn't there. And then the entire scene of like walking and stuff and the reaction of Pulpo with everybody else, that was not there either. And I just really appreciate, these little scenes here and there that David Productions is adding in. It really expands upon the series, and I mean, it's just crazy to think that, they, I think, are only about maybe 18 or maybe 20 or so chapters into, this adaptation, and that, honestly, that's a really good pace they got going on here with 30 plus episodes, and, how they've already been throughout, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, even, Part 4, now Part 5. We know that they're good at adapting JoJo. They really love this series. They put in their full-on passion no pun intended. I know that sounds like a pun, but no, you know, they are showing their passion for JoJo clearly with this part. And like I said before, my first impressions of Part 5's anime, Part 5 I think is one of the, you know, most liked parts in Japan. I believe Japan really loves Part 5, and it does make sense why they're just going so far into this series, trying to make it so good for people can really just appreciate this story. But okay, let's get on to, you know, the character introduction. So we're introduced to a bunch of new characters. I mean, we're introduced to Leone, we're introduced to Narancha, you know, which is a pretty boy, can mistaken the man for a girl, which I think everybody's gonna get confused. Fugo, I mean, we're introduced to, you know, Mista. We have some very cool characters that are introduced, and personally, my favorite character out of all of these is easily Mista. Mista is freaking hilarious, because Mista being so scared of the number 4 is absolutely freaking hilarious. And so let me give some clarification to that, if you don't understand why he's so scared of number 4. I think it's kind of easy to see, but like I said, I want to explain. See, Mista, he's superstitious. He believes that 4 is like pretty much the meaning of death, because in some languages like Mandarin Chinese, I believe, and maybe in some parts of Japanese, you know, the number 4 is actually a representation, or could be interpreted as death itself. And so obviously he would be scared of the number 4. He doesn't want to deal with the number 4. He doesn't want to be around it, and that's why he's just so, you know, kind of like scared. No, like a scaredy cat. And just a little funny tidbit for you if you didn't realize it. In the last episode was episode 4, and Mista was introduced in that episode. He was introduced in the episode that was number 4. Think about that. David Productions, you madman. You straight madman. You had to go along with that. Like, I love David Productions. They certainly know how to do this. But anyways, yeah, we are introduced to a new cast of characters, very quirky, have their own little interactions with each other. And like I said, this is going to be the main cast of characters that we're going to be riding with. You know how Polnareff was and all of that? You know, we're going to be with these characters from start to finish. And, I mean, I think many are going to really enjoy it, because they do have all their unique personalities, especially the scene with Narancha, when, you know, the radio was messed up. Now, that scene was freaking hilarious. And you just see the soda get spilled on it. It's like, what happened? What happened to my, you know, my radio box? Like, the old man lied to me. I'm just like, oh my god, I love it. I just love the adaptation that David Productions is doing, because they're really getting all these character interactions, these little things that just make you enjoy this part so much. Easily one of my favorite parts. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Part 3 so much. I love Stardust Crusaders. I love, you know, Dio and all that, but man, I cannot get over how fabulous, you know, Part 5 really is. Getting to see Giorno's journey and, you know, how he wants to become a gangstar. So let's get into the main plot. So the main plot of this episode is pretty easy to follow. Pulpo has died, and we know what happened, obviously. We know what happened to Pulpo thanks to the events of the last episode, which, like I said, shocked me that, you know, we actually got to see that the way it was, how brutal it was in episode 4. But regardless of that, though, Pulpo is dead, which is kind of initiating the main plot right now and begins our journey with our new cast of characters. Basically, Pulpo had a fortune. He was a rich man, and with the fortune that he hid away before he was put into prison, it could easily turn you into someone that could get in good with the boss of the organization of Passion. And so that is what Bruno wants to do. He wants to go out of his way to be able to find this fortune. He knows where it's at, but obviously people a part of the same organization as Pulpo or him, they also want the money. There's rumors going around, so obviously it's a race to the money, and they want to get information from Bruno's group, or Bruno himself. So in this case, that's where the main conflict comes in, and right now at the end of the episode, we have this individual that obviously is just grabbing people, and he's attacking them while they're hidden, and then, you know, making them just completely disappear. Now, we don't know exactly how the effects work, what's really going on, what type of stand ability this person is actually using, and how he's exactly hiding. We don't really know exactly, but the point is, though, is that right now, the conflict going on is to try to get to the money, and I have to say that most likely this is going to be easy. Like, one person coming after them, I highly doubt it's just going to be one person. There might be multiple people that could potentially come after them after this event on the boat. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, one key little thing that this episode really wanted to show is how far Giorno will go to really achieve his dream. See, we saw two instances in this episode. that really just shows what type of person he is, what type of person Leone is, but also who Giorno is. Leone, obviously, he was testing Giorno. He peed in the teapot, gave Giorno a drink. And he was just trying to be a jerk, okay? A complete jerk and all that. And that's the impression you get, which is an accurate impression of, Leone. But Giorno took it in stride, and even though it was nasty as hell, he drunk it. And the reason why he did that was because he knows if he would make them angry and really smart off and all that, not try to fit in, then his way of getting a dream, or him trying to get his dream, being a gangstar, that's not gonna happen. So he had to temper himself. He had to calm himself down before he could achieve what he wants, which showed a lot about those two individuals. Then, later on in the episode, when Giorno rushed in and all that to get attacked by a random individual with a stand, which he had no idea really how it worked, he did that also to prove his loyalty to Leone and Bruno and all of them, that yes, I am a part of your group. I want you to trust me. And so when he rushed in like that, Leone's like, well, I can't believe you went that far just to prove your trust in me, literally risking your neck to where you could potentially be dead. That's just the crazy part. So, a lot of good ways to just show how Giorno is as a person if you still have not picked up on how crazy he really can be to achieve what he wants, but just great depiction by David Productions the way they showed that in this episode. But I think that's about it. Great episode, start to finish. Love the music. I really, really cannot wait to see the next episode. I'm really looking forward to seeing just all of our characters and seeing, Leone go in and all that. But let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about this week's episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? How do you feel about everything else that happened? If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. With that, Chibi out.